One question that comes up a lot when we're talking, especially toddler and early childhood, preschool, it can kind of go into first and second grade, just kind of depending on the child and the environments they're in. But as tantrums, the kid seems like they just will stop at nothing to get exactly what they want, and then it's weird. Once they get it, sometimes the tantrum is even worse, and it's so confusing. It's so frustrating. It's like, I don't understand. You asked for an ice cream cone, then I gave you an ice cream cone, and now you're screaming even harder. It's like, what is happening? My wife actually will say that phrase quite often. She'll say, what is happening right now? Because sometimes the behavior can be so confusing. But when it comes to tantrums and those big explosive emotions, it can be really hard. We can just feel like our skin is almost crawling. Just like, oh, it's very frustrating. And when I approach a child, and my own children and any child in a tantrum, this phrase keeps popping up in my mind, is like, how can I approach them in a way that feels the same way a hug would feel to us? If we were really upset, I would probably really love a hug from someone that I really cared about. What can I do for this child that's going to feel like a hug, but I'm not gonna like kind of bulldoze my way in there and say, you need a hug. I'm not going to tell them what they need. I'm going to try to respond to what I think they need. And time again, what I have seen kids really respond to and really need is just the right to be heard, the right to be upset. And so, if I'm approaching one of my children in an all-out tantrum, which rarely happens, honestly. I'm not trying to brag, but I do feel like they have a loving place that they feel like they can honestly express themselves and be heard, and I think that's important. But I'll play dumb a little bit and say, you seem really upset about something. Is there something I can help with? Our middle child, she's 4, she will push her hands out, like, stay back, like, stop in the name of love. And she'll just like, stay back, and just sort of grunt at us. And I just say, oh, you want some space? Okay, well, I'll go in the other room for a little bit. And I'll let her finish her thing, and she'll come back to the table or wherever we were sitting. And I said, do you feel better now? And she goes, yeah, I was upset. And I said, I know. I don't really know what happened. It seemed like you were really upset that your brother kind of bumped into you or something. And she's like, yeah. And so that ability to listen, to just stop and kind of let the emotion happen without judgment. Like, this happens. If, as an adult, we handle those emotions differently, but we have years of experience. We have kind of a different culture that we're in. To a child, that they're acting as if their whole world is falling apart. And in many ways, to them, because their world is so much smaller, it's so much more confined into kind of what's happening in their mind. Their whole world is crumbling. So I almost think about, how can I give this person, a hug, without actually hugging them, and hearing them out, letting them express these emotions with little to no judgment, and saying things like, I can hear you're upset. I'm sorry. And I think really trying to convince ourselves that we mean that. And now Janet Lansbury has been one of my most trusted advisors and authors. I've really counted on her blog a lot, so she can be a place. She's published a lot of resources on this that have been very effective for us. And she says, not only do we accept the tantrum, but we actually encourage it. We actually show gratitude for them, because when they express intense emotions like that, it's actually showing that they trust us. Because if a stranger was in the house and they were upset, there's a good chance, or there's less of a chance, that their tantrum would be shorter and it would be less intense, because they don't know that person. And so the fact that they know us actually makes the emotions feel even more real, because they actually trust us. And so when we're approaching that tantruming child, we can say, I really appreciate you sharing that with me, and I'm sorry. The things I'll end this video with, the things that I really try to avoid is, I don't tell them that it's okay, because it's obviously not. They're crying, and this is almost going to sound really intense. It's almost as if I'm saying to my child that you're wrong about the way that you feel. If I say it's okay, or you shouldn't be upset about this, I'm really implying that they're wrong about the way that they feel. And that's a really unnerving message to get from the person that cares for you the most, which is your parent. Sometimes I hear teachers say that too, that it's okay, it's okay. It's really not, and it's okay that it's not, because it will be okay. And later on, I might say, you seem like you're better now. You seem like it's not bothering you as much. And the kid will say, yeah, I was really upset. And it's kind of giving them the language of like how to express themselves. And, every kid goes through this. Every kid learns in some way. Some learn it earlier, some learn it later. There's adults in our culture that still don't. They never really learned how to get through a tantrum. And I think that's what the parents that are watching this video are trying to avoid, is I want to make sure that they can get through it eventually. I don't want to have a child that's 11 years old that's still throwing tantrums, because then we feel like we've done something wrong. So those are my ideas on that's been my experience, how I respond to a tantrum. And I hope that's helpful. I hope this isn't too long. Give me some feedback if there's something I could explain better. If you want some more examples, please let me know.